You are connected to the Evolving Digital Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Evolving Digital, and I'm the show where we discuss leadership and digital transformation and the evolution of digital with leaders in the industry. And today I'm here with Roger again. Hi, Roger.
Hi.
Hi, and we're welcoming Jennifer Schoop. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Hi.
Jennifer, you're known for integrated marketing leadership at NXP, Shell, Signify, Vormen van Gansenwinkel, and you will share your point of view in setting a standard for the combination of agency and teams and working together today.
Yep.
So, welcome. If we would call your colleagues, how would they describe your role in the team?
That's fun.
Yeah.
Fun, that's good.
No, I think my role in the team, how they would describe it is, bring everyone together at the table, making sure that we have short communication line and that we work effectively, but also in a fun way. That's also why I said fun, but also in a fun way. That's how I think that they would at least describe me.
Are you the one that jokes around then, or?
To a certain extent. There's always, I think, laughter needed when you talk with your own colleagues and with agencies as well in the team. Because I think it establishes trust, and just a relaxing atmosphere. But having that said, I also have a different side as well. You know, when you make agreements, then you make those agreements, and then we have to stick to them as well. But you try to do that in a coherent, and nice way.
Yeah. If you look at the teams that you've built during your career at NXP, Shell, Signify, Vormen van Gansenwinkel, is there a story related to perhaps the fun part that you would like to share, saying, that's my fondest memory of it?
Well, I think then I really have to go back. It's NXP, that's where it started.
Yeah.
Because it was almost the sky was the limit. So we were kicking off with starting with campaigns and, having fun times, just experimenting with that. There were some success stories, but also some failures that in the end turned into a success.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And Van Gansenwinkel was a bit different, I would say. That was not really campaigning as such. I was there for a year, but also, of course, some fun sides that we did as well. And I think coming to the latter is then Signify having this brand Interact that we marketed, working with segment managers, product managers, I should say, agencies as well, in bringing that story to life, also in a good way. So if I had to choose, it would be Signify, NXP type of examples.
Yeah.
Is there a campaign that you think that's the one that brought it all together in my career, and that's the one that I'm really, really proud of?
Yes, two, in all honesty, because one is then from a learning perspective. One was in I believe it was automotive, where it actually all went wrong.
That's it.
And
It was a good one for lessons.
Yeah, that was really good one for lessons, because we were, at that point in time, it was not an integrated team. It was from a communications point of view, trying to talk to marketing, also trying to relay that story to agencies, et cetera, and it took a very, very, very long time. So at one point that actually one of the marketing managers really, really got upset. And in a way that we were all like, what's happening here? But we turned that around. We regrouped, and also with the team of Trim, of course, and copywriters and designers. We said, okay, hey, how can we turn this story around?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the first times that we brought together a team, and that we heard the full story, but that also people could ask, but also from an agency perspective. So the copywriter could actually dive deeper into, what the ask was.
Yeah.
On one hand, he was saying X, but you wanted Y, as in, so he was trying to clarify that. And then actually the understanding also from the marketing team at that point in time also came from, okay, now we understand why you were asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
So that turned in the end into a success story.
Was it out of silos into the integration part where the change was made?
Yeah, definitely. That was a change was made. And if I then we in the end put up a very nice campaign for the automotive industry. I believe it was actually automotive. That resulted in really nice traction, adoption from the markets as well. So that it took a very long time, and that was actually the most frustrating.
And what is a long time in this case?
Well, a long time to get actually to the point of what they wanted to have. So really the key takeaways of what is the marketing message that you would like to have your target audience take away? What do you like to be known for? And those USPs, in their opinion, they were clear.
Mm-hmm.
However, trying to convey that message to the copywriter in this example, we had then again questions. And also, it was not also my team that was, my team, me doing campaigns with project coordinator. There were, of course, also my other colleagues also doing campaigns.
Yeah.
So when things then take too long, they move over to also having to spend time in different teams. So in the end, it just took a very long time in getting to that point. And I'm talking weeks, not even days, just really weeks, maybe even months.
Yeah.
And, then it's, if you then plan something to have launched, as an example, in May, and it happens only somewhere in July, then, and you're already starting from January onwards, then, that's not a good...
that's not going very fast.
That's not going very fast. And that's also not the way you want to have your marketing and communications team be seen in a group. You want to be a value add and not a cost, as an example, or being a burden in that. And it became almost as us being a burden, and that we had to change because that was not good.
Was it because you asked a lot of questions, challenging the maybe the inside out approach of the business, or?
Yeah, and I think so as well. Plus, not all marketing communications people have knowledge about the technology, per se.
Yeah.
Some would say you don't have to. I think it's always good to have
helpful.
The product or the technology in terms of the digital technology.
Yeah, well, if I talk about semiconductors, about the product or how it exactly works with the nodes and ICs, etc., etc. In all honesty, I don't know how everything connects and works, but it is good to have at least some understanding. But if I look at the copywriter that we used back then, he had a really good background I think he was even an engineer, so he knew what type of questions also to ask for. And those were different types of questions that I would come from my perspective and from how I would view it. Right. So that was actually quite different. It was almost like, why don't you get this? Why don't you understand me? So it's almost two different worlds trying to connect. But that's actually what we were trying to do. Because on the other hand, what people would say, marketing fluff, you don't want to have this entire story about how beautiful things are, blah, 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 blah.
Give me the data sheet.
Give me the data sheet. But you are also talking to people that sometimes don't understand or don't need to understand and just want to have, okay, this and this is what NXP does and this area. Okay, they might be a good partner for us to work with. And then convey that message to somewhere else.
We're going to dive into the integrated approach in a minute. We're going to cover three topics today, and I think one is creating trust and building a team, the role of agencies in a team, who do you need on the team? So that's one of the topics. I also want to understand from you asking questions, critical thinking, creative thinking. How do you go about that, and how do you make sure that the team doesn't end up in a tunnel vision? And the third topic will be, I think, very relevant for marketing, people working in marketing in today, being creative and efficient with your marketing budget, how you do that. So those are the three topics we are going to cover today, starting with building teams. So you just shared, okay, I'd like an integrated vision and a holistic view, basically. How do you build the right team, and what does integrated mean?
How do you build the right team? Well, first, actually, it starts with having also the right people. So, starting from a campaign perspective, it's often what we call business units would like to convey their message to the outside world. So we need to make sure that we have the right people from a business unit. So that could be the marketing managers, that could be product marketeer, that could be a technical guy doing, let's say, a demo or something as such. So you want to have access to those people. They don't have to always be part of the team, but you want to have access to their knowledge. Involved at least, and that they understand what it is that you're trying to reach. And it's also what they want to have. So they are quite eager to then also participate. I think from a marketing communications team, of course, you have your strategy manager, you have a project coordinator, and in some cases even PR. So because at certain points in time, you want to, if there's a product launch or if there is a technology launch, you also want to have your external corporate communications also involved as well. So in the beginning, actually, there are a lot of people involved. And then that's from a, if I say internal perspective. But what I then also start changing was already start involving agencies as well. So I chose who I want to work with from a copywriting perspective. I chose who I want to work from a creative perspective, and also from a digital perspective as well. Because all of these angles, all of these capabilities come into one in the end. Yeah. Because, and that's what integration means, right? And you want to make sure that from the start that you have the right people involved. And what I did do is not being, let's say, overwhelmed, so that, let's say, a business unit thinks like, okay, I see the marketing communications team, and then we have a whole bunch of people. So I don't want to have, let's say, all kinds of people involved already from the start. However, I do ask the agency, bring the relevant people, to the table at the right time. And if the time is right at the beginning, then fine. But if, let's say, only Rogier is needed, or I don't know, just one copywriter instead of two, then only bring one, and then we can, of course, evolve, or grow behind the scenes a bit later. And that's actually how we start. And those are actually the most...
from the start already, right?
So from the start.
You put all the agencies together in one room, basically.
All in one room, and that's actually also where the fun and the dynamics actually happen. Because what you then see is that you get so many different questions from so many different angles, but still coming to that one point. So a copywriter wants to know, what is it actually that you want to say? From a creative agency, it's okay, hey, when you talk about X, how do you want to visualize that? What do we then see? How do you combine what you write in a visual as well?
But that's the creative agency talking to the copywriter.
Normally, that was always the case behind the scenes. They were talking to each other. Yeah. And
in
then
parallel,
there was...
You think.
In the same
well, you think. You hope. Yeah, but it was always a bit off, right? So it was always not always that what you really want to have. So bringing them on board at the start.
Giving them a shared mission and having them ask questions, understand each other better.
Exactly.
Is key to building the right strategy.
Definitely, yeah.
But that's from a perspective and roles and expertise combination. Is there also an element of are there other elements that actually build a good team? Because I can imagine we are different, very different.
We are.
We are.
Yes.
So how do you build
visual perspective?
Yes.
Both.
And in the way we work as well. I'm more organized.
I'm Captain Chaos.
Yeah.
No.
More or less. But we know that from each other, and we know when to find each other and how to build the good projects with that. Yeah. So what does it actually take, apart from the multiple perspectives, to build the right team?
I think that also has to do with trust. And a person. So I'm quite keen on working with Rogier. And I think I can maybe even be frantic sometimes. When he says, well, I'm going to give this project to someone else, I'm thinking, well, I don't know that person. Yeah. And that's the thing that I'm then triggered. Say, okay, if you trust that person that can do the job, then I'm fine with it. Yeah. But when you build that team, you build it also on trust. Yeah. And
how do you know if trust is absent or there? What are the tells?
Yeah, the tells is, this is what I said at the beginning. You start also with a fun way, but when you are not committing or not committed as an agency, but also from a business perspective, then I also think, and you should be able to tell that as well. Yeah. There was an instance in the case where it almost went
sideways.
Almost sideways. we promised to deliver a document, and that document wasn't delivered after weeks and asking. Yeah, then I think you also need to be clear and quite frank to your agency. Hey, we gave you plenty of time, so what's now the holdup?
Yeah.
And I think those frank discussions you should also have. And that doesn't mean that we cannot have a beer together afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key of having that integrated team, that you build it on trust, but that you can have fun, but also be frank when needed, without hurting the relationship, right? Because that's why you have that team.
Yeah, I think you described the 3 levels of a pyramid. I'm not sure if you know it. It's by Lencioni, and it's the 5 levels of actually building good teams, or when teams dysfunction. And the first one is trust. The second one is being able to have a conflict with each other. The third one is commitment. Accountability then comes next, and the results or the mission, the shared goal, is the top level. Yeah. You just described the first 3 perfectly.
There's a model for that.
Yeah, there's a model for that.
Don't know that model.
No, but it was one of the, I read it years ago, and I think it's still one of the things that I use to kind of figure out, okay, but what is the part that's not working well? So, yeah. It's a nice one to use. If you look at an agency and you're discussing with Rogier what's going well and what's not going well, what is the part that you involve an agency in? What's their role?
How do you mean in what's going well?
So you're building a team. What's the role of the agency, and how do you scout for the right one?
Yeah, depending, of course, on your focus and your topic. Yeah. As an example, I'm doing an assignment for a startup, and in which we also want to change, the entire web dynamics, and having a focusing on lead generation, but also on brand awareness. However, the web design or web structure is not the best at the moment. What was done in the past was good, but now we're moving into a let's say second phase, and now there needs to be some cleanup. So if I look at what is needed in the efficient and quickest way, then my first thought is, of course, then in my case, trim. And I will connect with Rogier to see, okay, hey, what can we do, etc. So that's how I then, identify. If I look from a creative perspective, I look at, okay, hey, what's really the ask? Because I have multiple creative agencies that I work with. With digital, it's actually a bit limited. Maybe I should.
You should broaden your perspective.
Broaden my perspective as well. But with creative agency, I really look at, okay, hey, what's really the ask? What is needed? Because there are some agencies that are more expensive than others, and that's not always needed. And you need to also be creative and mindful of the budget as well. That in this case, the startup has to spend, or actually not has to spend. So so I look at people, what they bring, my experience throughout the years.
Cultural fit as well.
Yeah,
is that a thing? See, depending on
for me, not per se. Okay. I love, of course, working in teams and being collaborative. I think that's the main thing. So that's maybe then the cultural fit, and I have that with most of the agencies that I work with. However, if I think an agency that I maybe don't work that often with could get the job done quicker or efficient, then I would also do that, because if that's better for the project, then that's better for the project.
Right.
Yeah. And so in the end, mission. That's
in the end, it's a mission. That needs to get done, and that's beside what my personal feelings are.
Cool.
I just want to tap into your experience, both of your experience, basically at NXP. Can you give an example of how the integrated team worked there? That was like, this feels like magic.
Oh, the moment that it actually felt like magic. Not sure if you want to elaborate.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay.
I'll jump in.
It was actually had to do with security in identification, and we already had some experiences with trying to get the teams together, etc. Was doing the same thing with the team of ID. only that team was based in Vienna. And getting those people, of course, to Eindhoven, that is not always easy. But I managed to convince the marketing segment leader of the topic. And I remember him saying, Jen, but actually it's really costs a lot of money getting everybody on board or getting everybody to Eindhoven, for a day and a half, I believe it was. And but we managed. I said, Heinze, it would be worth it. And in the end, it would be most cost effective and efficient as well. So he took me on my word for it. But I must say the trust as well. And we had a very good conversation. Different people involved. Again, different levels, like I said, product marketing, marketing itself, some technical people even. And that discussion flowed really, in a very nice way. Which then also resulted at one point that we were once again having to combine a meeting, and that we actually had to do that at Schiphol Airport because people were flying in but also flying out that day. So we rented a room at Schiphol Airport, and we
locked yourselves in the room.
We locked ourselves in a room, but that was, I think, the second time that we were all together. And what that also brings, I think, as a sidestep, yes, magic is happening because you see improvement, but also the short communication lines. And with that said, I don't mind having agencies talk to directly to the marketing, to the business
specialists,
unit, specialists, etc. If that speeds up what you need to get done, then please, by all means, do so. Make sure that we as a marketing and communications team or as the strategy managers know about it. Right? Because not that you're like, oh, I didn't know, and that you're thinking, oh, question mark. So I think at all times, the campaign lead or marketing communications lead or manager, should always be aware of what's happening. But having those sessions together results also in shorter communication lines as well.
I think to chime in a bit, but I think of course, this is a global company, right? Yeah. It's a big ass campaign. Multiple lots of stakeholders, multiple languages, multiple cultures. So it's a big project. But I think the idea is creating. I think what you did is creating the environment and the atmosphere that people came in with a very busy schedule, very busy agenda, flying into Schiphol. Need to get a job done, tick something off their to-do list, entering that room and entering an atmosphere where it's not just closing the door, but it's creating a creative atmosphere where you can, everybody was like, okay, this is cool because we had somebody there that would do visual recording, well prepared, right? But then everybody was, I think, within an hour behind. Everybody was focused on getting something done, right? And so creating those environments will definitely help creating, building teams that are inherent, like not really teams, right? Everybody has their own agenda, and the creative department has a job to do, but business has money. There's money to be made, and we have to do a campaign to getting everybody on board. Feeling that's what we're talking about magic. Mm-hmm. When I walked out of that room, that was magic. It was like that. I was like, oh, that would be so cool if we could have like a jet and fly everywhere, and everybody gets on a jet, and then we do what we did today.
Work on the jet.
Yes, work on the jet, and
I
then
like it.
But it was such a good setting to get a lot of difficult tasks done within a day.
And I think I'm keen to hear your insights on that too, because in global companies, a lot of teams still rely on using Teams, meeting on Zoom, etc., doing everything online because it's more cost effective, they think. What's your idea?
Yeah, I just actually want to say that because call me old fashioned or not, I think for these types of meetings or sessions, or at least the mission, what you want to get done, don't think about Teams and doing this online because you will not get the same result. being on Teams, and I know it myself, you get distracted, a phone rings, somebody's at the door, you drop something.
You're still juggling all your other tasks.
Yeah, you're juggling all.
Yeah.
You see an email coming in, and you see somebody looking actually sideways, or say, "Oh yeah, I'll be right back." So, my advice, yes, we have Teams. Yes, indeed, in some cases it's cost effective when you can just hop on, Teams and call each other.
Yeah.
But do that afterwards.
And is it then in the beginning, in the first phase of a campaign, that you'd say this is a crucial part where you meet up in person and you figure it out together?
Yes.
Are there other moments in the different phases or crucial aspects that you think that's what you do in person?
There are of course some time depending on your schedule, but there are some moments in time that you just also need to reconnect.
Yeah.
Are we still on the same page? Because you have something in the beginning, you start working, and then you can definitely review things online.
Yeah.
Back then, Teams wasn't even that great. I think we didn't even have Teams.
Didn't even exist.
Teams.
No.
But you shared information. You had maybe a shared space where you can share some documents, and then you hop on the phone, etc. And you can do some reviewing online. But then there comes again a moment in time that you say, okay, hey, this is what we've done. This is how far we are, and that you also give a kind of a recap. But also, this is what we're going to do in the next phase, or a couple of days or weeks. So again, that's building trust, but also having your stakeholders on board and keeping them on board.
Yeah.
Because also they have to do a report out to their management as well.
Yeah.
So you give something actually in return. And like I said, I think those type of sessions, you don't have to have them too often, but I would definitely say, depending on the length of your project, at least at the beginning, some in the middle, and then near to the end, at least 3 times.
Yeah.
That's something that I would definitely recommend. But again, depending on somebody's project and how difficult it is.
And it doesn't matter if you're in a global company, if a medium-sized company, in a startup even, it's the process that counts here. And creating that atmosphere. There's nothing can compare, I think, to walking into a war room where you have a campaign on the wall. Having that visual there, having the creative messaging written out.
What are the rituals? War room, I heard you say a visual note taker. What are the rituals that you use?
I think if you do a campaign well, and you have the multiple stakeholders, maybe within internal in the company, I think the first thing is what Jen already said. Claiming the time of the people that actually want you to do the campaign.
Yeah.
Make them understand that it's not a brochure that we're producing, right? This is serious money, this is serious time. There's multiple people involved. Create that kind of acknowledgement. Okay, we're creating kind of a mini company, a team that will be here for the next 3 months to make this a success. And we're committed. You need to be committed. So that's first ritual. Get it out of that.
Shared investment, actually.
Nothing wrong with salespeople. Absolutely not, but it's not going to be, I need a brochure. Okay, change this on the website for me. So that's integrated campaign is an integrated campaign, not just from a process view or from a channel view. It's also the team is the team. So that's the first one. And I think then the second ritual, which I think is really important, is making it tangible. So campaign is not just a strategy in a PowerPoint. It needs to come alive, so you need to find ways and visualize using a visual note taker, somebody that is in the meeting and writes down or draws, certain remarks or key points from the meeting, puts that on the wall, is something that we used to do a lot. We don't do it anymore, and I really miss it because it creates such a...
You're constantly reminded of.
That's what we said. Or that's what it might look like. And having the creative team on board in that meeting as well. So then the third one, don't silo things.
Yeah.
Right? As a campaign manager, and Jen can probably say, it's really hard to be the person that needs to juggle all the stakeholders. Yeah. You're better off putting them together into one room so they can understand each other. That means different agencies talk to each other, but they together talk to the key stakeholder, the business line, and the campaign manager is the one that's just facilitating. Yeah. And instead of being the one that has to change everything. And so that's, I think, the third one that's really important. And then...
to claim time, war room, don't silo.
Don't silo, and then make results tangible. Don't be afraid to say, this was shit. We thought this through, but now we put it out there during the campaign, and
doesn't look that good.
Then kill it.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you're committed in media budget or whatever, it's just don't be afraid to change it. I think those are some 4 kind of like ground principles that I use. It helps to have like a playbook, right, where you can have embed those principles. And I think we had our creative approach document.
Definitely.
That right now we still use. So 15 years ago we created a integrated campaign process. I think it was Bell Hill that actually started with it, right? And we adapted it to fit the company that we were working for. The principles are still there, and now we call it a playbook because it's not a very 80-page. It's
not a big
document anymore. It's a playbook, which makes it more agile. So it adjusted to the time that we live in now, but principles still there.
Yeah. If you look at your rituals, do you have rituals that you kind of, perhaps not very consciously, but now, this is what I typically do?
Oh, no, I don't have them actually very consciously. No, I don't. When you were talking, I was actually thinking, for me, it's also important that a marketing and communications department is not seen as a cost.
Yeah.
And I often experienced in my past, like, but just give it to Marcom. They will create something about it. It's always a bit downgrading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need a campaign. It needs to buy X, Y, Z. But it's also creating understanding of what's actually behind it.
What the value is.
What the value is. And what you see is the tip of the iceberg, but all the work that goes behind it, people don't see.
The iceberg slide.
The iceberg slide, indeed. Often I hear people say, I want to have the same thing. Yeah, but it's actually the same thing. That's nice, but it's really work. So maybe some principles I just do, I think, by hand. It also
just naturally
flows.
I remember one day I think it was for a product launch that we had the team together in the room as well for a client, and we had them in terms of the UK government had present opposite sides of the government, and one was pro the new product and the other one was against, and we had them battle each other. Normally, you would only focus on the pro version of that for them was, I also have to think about barriers and what are reasons not to buy it. So that was it was fun.
Actually, very
fun to do.
Actually, fun exercise.
Yes, it is.
To do. Yeah. Thank you for the tip.
You're welcome.
Pro tip.
Critical thinking, creativity. What's the role of that, and how do you make sure that it keeps flowing? A big question, I know.
Yeah, well, the critical thinking, like I said, I think it's also, when you then are together, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid because, we're always talking about safe space and blah, 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 but it is a safe space, right? Because that's why we're there. And we are there to make sure that everything is on the table and that we understand. And because I understand something, that doesn't mean that I'm communicating or in that very clearly. So if something is not clear, ask those questions. And what if and
why,
and the whys, indeed. And that's how you're keeping everybody in a way at his toes, but also having the party involved that would like to have a campaign in this case thinking, it's not that logical as I thought, right? Also to think about, because when you're in your own cocoon, and I know that for myself, I'm thinking, and then, after a few days, and I'm then telling it to someone, and people say, okay, catch me up, because you have been thinking about this for weeks.
Yeah, this thought process, I wasn't part of the journey.
Exactly. So, and that's what you need to get flowing in that respect. So also don't be afraid. I think that's the thing. Stay alert and stay critical, because in the end we all have to deliver. Yes, it comes together, but from a creative perspective, from a copywriting perspective, from a digital perspective, it all needs to click, right? And if something doesn't click, then it all goes to hell.
Let's not go there.
No, but so definitely don't be afraid. I think that's the
that's the
main
key message.
thing. Yeah, that's the key message.
Our previous guest, Michel Claessens, has a question for you as well.
Oh.
And I think we probably know what you're going to answer, or at least in line. Because he wonders, what is the most effective way a team can learn, in your opinion?
The most effective way? By definitely circling back. What often happens, and I know it's maybe a cliche answer, but what often happens, we go to the next. Done, next.
No reflection.
There's no reflection. There's actually no time to reflect. And I think that is something that you definitely need to have, and also be able to say, okay, hey, go back and evaluate what went well, what went wrong, and how can we improve that. But also be critical to each other. There are some cases that I worked with someone, and I said, well, what I didn't really like in the process is we agreed to something, and then actually you're contradicting what we agreed, and that doesn't make us look like a team.
Yeah.
And I said, we are here as a team. There are people coming here, investing time and money, and then we have a kind of internal debate, and that's something that you don't want to have. So always circle back and take that time to circle back, even if it's only for a few hours, but take that time to circle back and write it down.
Yeah. So everyone is aligned and it's one team again.
Definitely. And then for next time, you do better, because there's nothing more magical than you can actually create better results and more results. And when you get flowing, right? So the sky is the limit, I would say.
Yeah. Awesome. From the sky is the limit to what a lot of marketing teams are experiencing now. Budgets that are under pressure, and they have to be more creative with less. How do you help teams stay creative in that situation?
Well, I think back then it was a bit more difficult. I think now with the having AI in place, I think a lot of things goes faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely always say now to an agency, keep that in mind. Also because what we did, let's say 10 years ago, we had weeks to come with a visual, but now you can actually create a prompt, and you can at least have a raw design. And so I think when it then comes to budgets now and back then, I think there's a big difference. But what I also think, and I'm thinking and talking to at the same time, but having those the teams involved already at the same time is also cost effective, because you have lesser meetings. Rogier or agencies don't have to come to the office that often to say, hey, I don't understand ABC. No, you have those meetings to be more effective and that you can actually move forward quite fast. I think that still applies today. And then with the add-on of AI, actually being that an agency can actually do things faster, but also has then room to maybe dive into strategies a little bit more deeper, to split your time to what's really important, to maybe, I'm going to say less important stuff, but like I said, if you need creative thinking, now you can have AI help you with that. Yeah. And before that, a creative person, was a couple of hours, thinking and designing, etc. And now you have the help of AI. But I do believe that when you have integrated teams with agencies all at one place together in the beginning, that actually is a cost-effective way to, be smart with your budget, and you have lesser meetings, so fewer, like, and what we call in Dutch, een uurtje factuurtje. I came to Eindhoven, or, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm thinking, what was done?
Will the teams fundamentally change? So will roles shift 100% to AI roles?
I don't think really roles will change. I think always there needs to be a human element in the equation. But I do think some routine jobs within a role will change. Like I said, as an example, creative thinking, you had a person really designing, thinking about it, really just had to spend maybe a few hours in a cubicle, and process. I think that thinking process could now be speed up with the help of AI. But I still believe that you need that human element behind it all. I think you need to have that creative eye, that feeling, and maybe in the future that will change. I don't hope so, of course. But I do feel that you need to have that personal touch.
Personal connection.
Yeah, and also in copywriting, because you can say you're a copywriter and you can put everything in AI and then you have your text, but it doesn't always read as,
Not yet.
In the ever evolving.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot in there, right? Because it's for us as an agency, we have to change the way we approach businesses, and it's not always. I don't think it's always the case of because we use AI, we can be more cost efficient. We can be faster, which might lead to some cost savings. But the value is, I think, in what we deliver, and of course that will erode a bit because with less time spent. But I think the output will be better using AI.
Yeah.
So, and that's worth something. I still don't. It's not a real good business case yet, because you can always say, okay, yeah, but if you're still charging me by the hour, then so we might want to change that as an agency.
Yeah, definitely. I can understand that.
But I'm more looking towards how I've written it down. I don't know if it's already in your notes as well, but the role of the agency with AI coming in. We talked about it yesterday or the day before yesterday, versus internal teams, right? Would you foresee, because you've been working both, right? You've been working with internal teams and you've been working with agencies a lot. So would you foresee in the near future that balance will change? That will be more of an internal thing and agencies will have a different role, maybe just on the creative side or on the critical side or in the concepting?
I think it's a bit depending on which project. I believe when you really want to market something and you want to campaign something to a broader, let's say, global audience, I think you still need to have an agency in place. Agency like yourselves, I think still also the creative part. What I do believe that what will happen internally is getting those thoughts a bit more structured and organized. Because in the past it was a bit all over the place. Right? And I think with the help of AI, I think internally you are now more maybe empowered or to say, okay, hey, but what is it that you actually want to do? So already make sure that you have those critical questions already in place before going to that agency. But if it's for something small, it could be that some agencies will only be used for some creative things. However, if you talk about global reach, in my view nowadays, I think you still need to have an agency because, be honest, I'm not a copywriter. I don't want to be. I'm not a creative person. I don't want to be. I really don't care which.
I think you're creative.
I can be creative, but it's not my role. You know, so I have ideas, but there's somebody is way better than I am in expressing what I'm thinking. Yeah. In bringing that to life on paper. And
so you're not looking forward to having a set of agents, synthetic teams that you could just put in your input and then they will spit out something and they will create something.
It could definitely go that way.
No, but would that make your job fun? Just to get back to where we started.
Well, when we started with fun, no, that wouldn't make my job fun. Definitely
Why not?
No, because doesn't digital agent have humor? Well, probably you can try. You ask for a joke, you get one. And yes, sometimes I need to laugh because I do test it, of course. Yeah. But no, I think I firmly believe also in the human element of things, that things change and that it will speed up with agents. And maybe, like you said, on the agency side, that you need to think about or rethink about the business model that AI will have from an agency perspective. I can understand that. I think smaller companies may turn to having digital agents But I think it's also depending on the outcome that you want. And I also see a shift in that. It used to be we want to have 100% everything correct, high res, blah, blah, blah. But I also see social media posts that I'm thinking, really? But yeah.
Good is good enough.
Yeah. Good is good enough. Oh. People don't really care. It doesn't have to be as perfect as it used to be. Oh. So there is definitely a change. And how that will evolve.
One of the illustrators we used to work a lot with, Sjors, he had a really good comment that kind of stuck. He says, because he creates all the illustrations and the visuals, and he said, well, if it's for something that people just spend 1 second in, you can use AI.
Definitely.
If you just look at it for 1 second, then that's not something for me. But if it has to have more value, you're looking at it longer, you have to interpret it longer, or it has to carry a story. That's the part where you hire him. Yeah. So that's kind of a
fully agree with that. Yeah, fully agree with his comment on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sjors, that one's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he listens. Well. We're already in our time. Yeah. So I'm going to give you kind of a dilemma. And obviously you have 2 options and you can nuance which one you're going to choose.
You have to pick.
Yeah, you have to pick one.
Okay.
You have to pick one.
I'm really good at dilemmas. But okay.
Well, there you go.
Challenge me.
A last-minute change means that your campaign team has to rework a major deliverable. You can meet the new deadline by assigning tasks to individuals working in parallel, but you'll miss out on deep co-design and collective feedback. Do you A, push ahead solo style to deliver on time, accepting good enough results? Or B, argue for a deadline extension, prioritizing joint reflection, collective challenge, even if it means tough conversations in your organization?
Oh, that's actually quite a mean one.
Yeah.
One.
This is.
You can nuance.
You can nuance your answer.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Oh, depending who's sitting on
across from you.
Across from me, that would actually be depending on. Preferably, I would extend the deadline, and definitely if it's a major change on a deliverable that has great significance in a campaign, then I would definitely extend. I would make the other team, well, not it, let's say the stakeholders aware of what that change will entail.
Yeah.
So I would probably give them those 2 options as well. But my preference would be to delay maybe by a week, hopefully. But that also means that I have to, align with then the agencies. Because then there becomes a bit of a shift in that respect, because you all work towards a certain goal. Mm-hmm. This was agreed. Then something happens, let's say internally, that wasn't foreseen. That can happen. But if that's really a major impact on what we do or the mission and what we want to bring out of it, then I would probably ask for a delay. Yeah.
So value and impact. That's
I think I would definitely go for value in that respect, and having the impact for a longer term, then having something very quick, and then in the end saying, it doesn't work.
Meeting the deadline. And then
meeting the deadline. Then I'm thinking, then we're going to delay.
For value impact.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. It's been a blast. Thank you for joining us here. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you.
If you like these types of episodes, feel free to follow us on Evolving Digital, and looking forward to the next.
Stay connected to the Evolving Digital podcast. See you next time.